Janay.
Hello, Franny.
So this is a first podcast that I am wanting to do to help single women, first-time home buyers, to especially young, but not just young. Any age is great, but to help them to get inspired, motivated, gain some courage. To start thinking about moving towards buying their first home, whether it be a condo or a single family home, a duplex possibly, through talking to some of my people in my life and my friends like Janay, Janay Reliford. And we have some great questions for Janay today. And but before I start asking you some questions, would you like to tell my new audience, they're new, just give a little background about yourself and what are you up to in life?
Sure. Well, I'm a social worker. I've been in the field about 30 years. I know I don't look like
Not
it.
at all.
I'm a mother of 2 wonderful sons, and I now am a grandmother.
It's amazing.
I'm Granny
Granay.
of
Love
2
that.
granddaughters and a grandson.
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And you have several missions in life. You want to tell us about one of your missions?
Yes. My ultimate dream is to build a youth development and family fun park through a camp that I run called Camp Choice. Choice stands for children having opportunities and creating an environment.
Yay.
That means the choices we make create the environment we find ourselves in. And I came up with the concept of this as a result of my life testimony. I lost my mother at 15 years old. And a couple of great things she did for me was gave me a solid spiritual foundation, and she signed me up for a scholarship program, which allowed me to go to college, which definitely had something to do with me being able to be that first time home buyer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Camp Choice, I've been in a parallel universe with Janay as she's been working on this for I don't even know how many years now. A few.
25.
Okay, there we go. And talk about somebody never giving up on their dreams. This is one woman who's never given up on her dreams, and so I think that's inspiring in itself. But we are here to talk about buying homes. So I just want to ask you some questions. We've talked about these before, but can you take us back a moment to the moment when you decided that home ownership was the right move for you? And what was the driving force behind that moment?
Yes. Well, as I shared, my mother passed away when I was 15. I became a single mom, teenage mom, immediately upon my mom's passing. I made a lot of poor choices, moved away from my grandparents, got on public assistance, and really that time of being a single mom on public assistance, working myself through the welfare to work program, I learned about resources that were available to become a first-time home buyer. So I took advantage of those opportunities and really became the first homeowner in my family.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, kind of second, but my grandmother was really the first, but her home was gifted to her.
I see. Mm-hmm.
Way back in the day.
Got it.
So it was a little different for me because I actually had to go through the process of securing a loan and all of that stuff.
Yeah. So you saw resources that are out there.
Yes.
And I'm the person to say today that there's also resources still available today, and they change from year to year, from administration to administration, but there's always going to be resources to help people buy home. I hope, but there are still now. And so it's amazing that you did that. How old were you when you bought your first house? Do you remember?
24.
24. Oh my God. I
Yes.
think that is amazing.
Yes.
I'm just like, when I was 24, I'm like, I ain't buying no house. That's way too much for me. So
Yes.
hats off to you for that. Okay, so so as a single woman in this process, what was your biggest fears or challenges you faced when you were thinking about buying a home?
Well, first of all, doing it alone as a single mom was a
Mm-hmm.
fear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for me, I was one of those women who dreamed of being married and doing that kind of thing with my husband. So that was, a kind of a fear. But then also having still, even though I was benefiting from some home ownership programs, you still had to come up with a down payment.
Mm-hmm.
So, just making sure that I was going to have what I needed for my down payment and all of those kind of things, those were challenges as a
Mm-hmm.
single mom, but I got through it.
Yeah. So that's interesting because today you can actually buy a home and get help with your down payment.
Mm-hmm.
So you went through much more than even what the women today have to to come up. And even though you may not have to come up with a down payment today, there still are closing costs, and
Mm-hmm.
there are other costs involved than just the down payment, which I'm sure you had to figure out as well. So how did you navigate through the financial aspects of buying the home, especially as a single buyer? Do you remember it? Like, are there anything that helped you? Like, did you have a budget, or did you have a savings account versus a
Mm-hmm.
checking account? I mean,
I
how did
was
you get that together?
I was definitely hardball saving to make sure that I came up with the cost that I needed for closing and all of that, and actually incurred a hardship. You know, just a word of advice to those single women out there: be careful who you date, because I was dating a guy at the time who would really made created some challenges for me financially.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I say for me, faith was a big part of my journey with the home buying as well. And some miracles happened too, to get me to where I needed to be. But all the challenges that came my way, I was able to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just encourage anyone that to don't let barriers keep you from uh, pursuing the journey,
Mm-hmm.
because you will overcome. You
Mm-hmm.
will overcome, even if you have a setback. You just get back on and keep pushing forward.
Yeah. Okay. So, was there a specific moment in the process, searching for homes, making an offer, closing the deal, when you realized, I'm really doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember?
Really, from the start, I am, like I said, one of the first homeowners in my family. So it was a big deal for me from the beginning of going through the process. And then, of course, overcoming the financial challenges and being at closing.
Mm-hmm.
It just really was a very proud moment, and not just for me, for others in my family. My grandparents, my aunts, were just very proud. And my siblings,
Yeah.
it was definitely an inspiration to other people in my family.
Did anybody else end up buying as
Yeah,
a result
more.
of?
I had an aunt and a cousin
Wow,
that after me they became homeowners.
it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So you and I both know your realtor, Doug Schaefer, who helped you, right? He was the one who
Yes.
helped you. And I love Doug. And so how was he helpful in helping you find the right house, like helping you
Yes.
figure out like
His help was very
Like
instrumental.
the condition of a house? I mean, those kinds of things.
His help was very instrumental in really helping me understand the programs,
Mm-hmm.
the programs that I qualified for, and just really being diligent about being sure that he showed me homes that fit my desire, and my family makeup as a single mom. By that time I had 2 young boys. um so yeah, the real estate agent is very critical. The rapport that you have with your realtor is critical,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
because
to advocate for you. So I ended up with a foreclosure, and just advocating with the seller to make sure that I got the best deal. All
Yeah.
of that was important.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it's I think even harder today, personally, what I've seen in the years I've been doing this and helping first time home buyers in a environment of flipped houses. It's flipped houses and HGTV, and it's so, and we love to present pretty houses on our Facebook page and websites and stuff, but a pretty house is not always a great house. And it's hard to figure that out if you don't know what you're looking for. You can go into oh my gosh, some of these houses have beautiful kitchens and bathrooms, and then the person who rehabbed the house didn't do anything to the mechanics or the foundation, or and that's tough. You don't know what you're looking for. So an agent like Doug, like myself, can help you figure. It's very critical. It's hard to find somebody you trust like that.
And not just that, like, where I hear you talking about things may look good on the exterior or whatever, and the but not the bones not be right. But for my property, it was, like I said, a foreclosure, and it was a mess. The visual,
so totally different,
like the
than
bones,
a flipped house.
the bones were good, but
yeah, which is great. I mean, I think that's a great example of what I actually try to get people to don't even pick out a house that looks great. I mean, seriously. I mean, that cosmetic stuff is, I mean, if you can get both, great, but sometimes it's better to really look for a good bones. Yeah. And people say that, like, good bones. What's a good bone? Well, that's what your realtor helps you figure out, is what the bones are really all about.
Because that's the thing. The bones are what's most important. And the visual stuff you can work through. And if I would have gone in there with the attitude of I was looking for everything to look great, I would have missed out on a dynamic property.
Right. Yeah. And I've been to your house, and you've got and that's the first house you bought, right?
Yeah. Yes.
You've got an amazing house. Totally great. Okay. What impact has owning your home had on your life, both personally and financially?
The impact is immeasurable. So personally, the impact of being a homeowner, especially as an African American woman, is huge. Because African Americans, we own homes the least of any other ethnic group. So on a personal level, it's a huge deal. And like I said, in my family, I was one of the first to own a home. And financially, it's been a lifesaver. It's been a lifeline. I believe I've refinanced my house now about 3 times since I've been in it. And though I would have loved to be at the place where I'm paid off, but I'm not there yet because of the refinances. But boy, am I grateful that when I needed that financial lifeline, my house was available to utilize. The equity in my home was available.
That's so interesting. It's so hard to wrap your head around, if you haven't owned a house, how valuable that can be. I mean, it's like, you're taught to save money your whole life. I mean, I was taught to save money, but that savings account is so easily accessible, right? Do I take that trip and use my savings? Or whereas when you're paying on your house, your mortgage every month, it's not accessible for years. Like, you weren't able to do a refinance until many years down the road.
Exactly.
It's not just out of the gate you can do that. And yes, I mean, it'd be best if you can just pay the whole thing off, but most people don't. Most people do use it as a way to get them through some of the rough times that they have. And it's amazing. A lot of people don't know about that. And I think if you're a young person, it's hard to know that until you've gone through it. Mm-hmm. What a great resource that is.
Absolutely. And had I been able to utilize some other tools or tactics to build my equity, I could have been a lot better off too. Mm-hmm. Like paying bi-weekly instead of monthly, yes. Or making that extra mortgage payment a year.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. They say if you pay, it depends on the price of your house and your interest rate and all that, but if you pay 2 extra months a year, it almost cuts your years in half. Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
And it's like, why don't we do that?
Hello.
It's like, anyway, that I'm on a mission for that too, but we just don't know sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just can't.
Exactly.
Like you just are just getting by.
But that is still something I'm working. I'm gonna get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So those are, I'm sure there's a lot more you could talk about that it has helped you personally and financially, but those are really great. Looking back, what would you have done differently in your home buying journey, if anything?
So as I shared, I was dating someone that put me in a sticky situation. So definitely if I had it to do over again, I would be more protective of my accounts, to make sure no one could sabotage me as I'm going through closing. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. I mean,
that's hard, man, when you're in love.
Oh my goodness.
We've all been there.
Other things that I would say that, I would have done differently, not necessarily for me because I ended up with a great property. But I would just say for others, just ensuring that you you are open to seeing a variety of places, like that you don't just like rush through the process. Hopefully, people wouldn't be in a situation where they're in a time crunch and they have to move expeditiously. But really the home buying process is something that you want to take your time because you want to find the right property. So you want to really be able to look at properties and assess the pros and the cons of each property, see what kind of even maybe rapport that you could build with the seller that they may look at your life or something you have going on and may favor you in some way for because those letters that you could write to the seller to let them know how much you love the home or maybe encourage them to accept a lower price for a specific reason. All of those things are worthy to do while you're in the home buying process. So I would just encourage people to give themselves time.
I think it's great. I feel like at a minimum, people should look at 7 to 10 homes before they even think about making an offer. And it's a little harder now because we still have pretty low inventory. So, and we do still have, in some situations, not every situation like it used to be during 2020, 21, then COVID years, multiple offers. And so I say you don't actually get into, if you're going to be in a multiple bidding situation, that you still have looked at 7 to 10 houses before you make that decision. That also includes different neighborhoods,
Mm-hmm.
because I think everybody in general finds neighborhoods they want to live in, which is fine. I think that's part of who we are. We like certain neighborhoods. But there may be other neighborhoods that you haven't explored. This is where a good realtor can take what you like about a certain neighborhood and expand your options a bit. I will also say, I'm not sure if you agree with me on this, Janay, but um, I think people don't take enough time at getting to know the neighbors and the neighborhood of the house that they're buying. It doesn't come very easily to do that, but I think it's so important, especially as a single woman, that you feel some affinity and knowing that you can build some relationships in the neighborhood that you're in, to make it an enjoyable home, enjoyable and secure. And but the way that we buy homes today, and the way realtors take you to your house, you look at the house, it's all about the house. And very rarely is it about, well, who are my neighbors and what goes on in this neighborhood. And I try to get people to like, let's go knock on doors and see what's going on here, and
that's great.
check it out. It's hard. It's hard if you're not used to doing that. If you're kind of a shy or introverted person, but a good agent will help you do that.
Yes, that's great advice. And another thing I thought about is trees.
Trees.
Yes.
Trees are so important.
Hello.
I tell people all the time, don't buy a house with no trees on the block.
Well, yeah, and don't buy one with too many and that are in the wrong place.
Well, that's true too. Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. Yes, that's true too. The good and bad of trees.
I'm telling you, I love my house, but the block I live on is like a forest. There's leaves everywhere all the time. If you clean your yard up, you're going to get everybody else's leaves. And then you just want to make sure you don't have trees with limbs hanging over your roof and things like that.
Totally. Yes. Very true. Trees can... That's so funny. We're thinking in different directions about trees. But it is known that trees do bring more value to a neighborhood for many reasons. The aesthetic and the shade cover it brings your energy costs down and all that. But definitely trees can be a nuisance
and
if
they're
not taken
expensive
care of.
to deal with if you have to
Yeah.
cut one
So
down.
you should be looking at those
Yes.
as you're looking at your house. Totally agree with that. Okay, lastly, if you could leave our listeners one piece of advice or encouragement about homeownership, especially for single women, what would it be?
Go for it. Go for it. Because first of all, it's there's a component of legacy. It's something that you can pass down. I was sharing with you a few weeks ago, I have a new grandson, and I was bathing him in the tub that his father bathed in. And that feeling is like, it's so beautiful, such a beautiful feeling. So yeah, just the memories that you build and the value, the asset that you can pass down. It's a wonderful thing. And like I'm saying, it's a wealth builder. So I would just say, and there's nothing like living in your own house. Like, okay, when I visit people who live in apartments or what, the you hear, and even when I'm in like a hotel, the noise from the people above you, or, just dealing with neighbors, in a house, you really can spread your wings and not have to worry about noise control as much. You still always want to be respectful to your neighbors, but it's just you have a lot more freedom as a homeowner.
That's so true. The freedom from other noise and people around you. And I would also say just freedom to decorate. I think that's, of all the things that I hear people talk about, that's one that they would love to have more freedom to make the house their own and the
Yes.
paint that they do, and not worried about they have to give back their deposit or whatever because they did something wrong to the house. I mean, there are other challenges with home ownership other than decorating your house, but I
Yeah.
think that's great. The freedom to spread out, make it your own place is really, really great.
Absolutely, because we have to understand that home ownership is also a responsibility. You have to keep up with the investment. You have to keep your investment up.
Mhm.
So that is a part of it. But it's all worth it.
Mhm.
It's all worth it.
Yeah, that's great. Well, this has been fun. This was so easy.
Yes.
I loved doing this. You made it so easy, Janay. You're always great to do. Um, so we're having a tiny trade show for any home buyer, but for our first time home buyers, and that's going to be on May 17th at the Westport Library from 10 to 12, and we'll wherever we post this, we'll put a link to get signed up for that. And we're actually going to have service providers at the trade show at different. So instead of, we normally do homebuyer workshops, and somebody gets up and talks about the process and yada yada yada, and then we ask if you have questions. We feel like the better way to do this is for you to go around with people that we know and trust, that are inspectors and contractors, interior designers, and all kinds of people that will, and mortgage people and credit repair people that we know personally, that we want you to get to know personally, so that you can have a relationship. So when it's time for you to go buy your house, you can have our contractor Josh, our handyman Josh, in the back of your mind going, oh, I could ask Josh to help me with this. Because I think just like raising a kid, it takes a village, as Hillary Clinton and many other people have said. I think the purchasing of a home for a single woman, first time home buyer, takes a village too. And to try to think you're doing it alone, it's going to take you much longer to get that done. The courage to make it happen. I think it is helpful if you can meet somebody in the process to help you go take that next step, to make you feel like, I can do this. Like if my dishwasher breaks down, who do I call? Right now, you just call your landlord, right? But what now you have to figure it out.
Yeah.
And so that can be very scary. So that's what this tiny trade show is all about at the library. And we hope you can come. It's going to be pretty laid back and hopefully fun, and give you the next step and courage to do that. So until next time, we'll see everybody out in the streets. Bye.